Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper, and welcome to our third and final part that we've done on this little mini-series all about mags. Now, I have 8 points here that I want to bring up to you about our third and final portion called How to Operate a Mag. Now, this is just an overview. You're going to have to tweak this to your standards and to how you feel it would best benefit your mag, but I'm going to go over these 8 points and then you can take it from there with it. And hopefully this little 3-part series that we've done all about mags will give you a thought process on how to conduct a mag, why you should do it, who to get, and make this thing come together and benefit you and others around you. Okay, number 1 on this would be everyone needs to know their job and they need to know who their backup is. Okay, so the people you've just recruited, the ones that we've talked about in the video before this, okay, everyone that you've got together now, they need to know what they're doing, and they need to know when the time comes, you know, if something happens to me, who's my backup? Who is the person that's going to take my place doing my job? Because those people need to work together, okay? Excuse me. Now, the 4 groups, okay, within that, you need to have, you know, whether it's food production, you need to have a person that can fill in that gap in case the person that does the food production gets sick or ill or passes away, heaven forbid. Okay, same thing with medical, utilities, security. All right, number 3 is everyone needs to keep it on the lowdown that you are a prepper, because I'm going to be honest with you. Something I don't really get too in depth about, but preppers are going to get labeled in the near future, ladies and gentlemen. Sandy Hook, the lady that was killed, the shooter's mother, she was a prepper, and you know, the son killed her. But because she was a prepper, it doesn't matter that she was a victim in it. It just matters that she's a prepper. We're going to become the next group probably on the list to be hated on by the government. I mean, 9/11 happened and people started hating anybody that was Muslim. And I don't approve of the Islamic religion. But I'm not going to go out here and start hating on my neighbor just because we might not view the same way. Now, when you want to start doing violence against myself and other Americans, then yeah, we have a problem. But the thing is minorities are always targeted. And not to mention with the firearm situation in our country, things are not going to be looking too pretty for a while. So the fact that you prep together or just trying to mutually assist your community, you need to always do it in the best positive light, and you need to keep anything that might be of necessary value down the road of secrecy to keep it on the lowdown. Now, number 4 is you need to know what the sign or the signal you all have is to come together. Now, for me, you know, 7 trumpets of revelation begin to happen. That's pretty obvious, no-brainer when to come together. Earthquake just took out most of the bridges and buildings and cities around the world. I think I got the idea when to need to come together. But now you may say, what about financial collapse? Well, that's something, you know, you might want to think about. When they gave a poll here recently on a newspaper where I'd made it on Knox News, they took this poll and they asked people what was the things that they were fearful of. And they gave a list. They said, what do you think would happen in my lifetime? And people chose economic collapse was top, which I guarantee it will happen. No, I don't doubt that a bit. Following that was the pandemic and the 7 trumpets. So people have definitely started to take notice of things going on around them. So you need to keep these things in mind. What if it's economic collapse? Who do I go to? You know, say it's, you know, your family, just your family, and you haven't reached out to anyone else in your community. I mean, your family, are they going to come to your house? Are you going to go to their place? You know, are you just going to consolidate assets? I mean, these things you're going to have to think about, because I mean, you cannot do this stuff on the fly. All right, there is no getting this together after stuff goes south. All right. Now, and another thing is, if you have a means of communicating that signal, which we're going to get into in a minute, you need to practice it. Okay, you need to practice it often. I mean, if somebody is part of your group and they're just coming to visit you, just run it through the loops, because they're coming over your house anyway, so it's not wasting gas, or you're going to them, or you are going somewhere to meet. Just be like, hey, you know, on the radio, I'm coming down so and so, I'll be there, blah blah. You know, run these things through and practice it, because when it's life and death one day, you don't want to have to be guessing what frequency was that. Oh gosh, I can't remember. How do we operate this ham radio, or where'd you put the walkie-talkie? You don't want to have to be going through that. Okay, you want to make sure you've got it right. All right, so make sure that you know the signs. Okay, the plan in place. You have the means to get together with each other. All right. Now, number 5 is have a communication backup plan. All right, so we just talked about, you know, make sure having a plan and communicate. Well, we need to have a backup plan just in case you can't communicate. So, with that said, and I'll give you an example from like my perspective. The earthquake happens, signaling the 7 trumpets that's starting to begin. All right, so we say, you know, here it started to happen. All right, the communication lines are down for some reason. My ham radio's dead. My walkie-talkie won't reach half of my mag group. What do I do? Well, some of may wait 72 hours and then come on and be like, okay, you know, I know this has happened. I'm going to give it time for, you know, the people to somewhat dissipate, and then I'm going to make my action, maybe move at night or something and try to get to everyone else or come together. You know, make sure you have a backup plan and everyone knows that, so that when, you know, it happens and then everyone shows up and Bob's missing, or Tim over here, where'd Tim go? Oh, yeah, wait, I remember. Tim said that if, you know, when we couldn't communicate, he'd waited out 24 hours at his house and then he'd come at night. So we need to look for a car coming up the driveway tonight at night, because he'll be coming. Okay, so that's Tim, so don't nobody freak out, all right? So, and that's what you need to do. I mean, you need to have a serious backup plan in place, because, you know, Thomas Edison was quoted, and I can't say his quote right, but you know, he found multiple ways how to not make a light bulb, and he found one how to. You can have the best, most elaborate survival plan in place, and I guarantee you when it comes time, it'll have to be modified. You know, the military is constantly modifying their operations in the midst of doing them. Alright, the government constantly has to modify things in the midst of doing them. Construction teams, businesses, everyone has a model to go by, but then they have to revise that when the time comes if necessary. Alright, so have a backup plan, alright, and a backup communication plan, alright. Number 6 is have a backup plan for everything. Now, I'm not trying to drum this backup thing to death, but now here's the thing. Whenever it comes to having a plan in place, if no communication and then someone don't show up, what are you going to do then? Are you going to go for them? Or are you going to send out a couple people to take and look and see if they're okay? Or are you going to search for them? You know, like I'm a member of a CERT team. So, you know, community response team, and if something bad happens, I mean, I need to be out there and make sure that my neighbors are okay. You know, I'm liable, and then I want to make sure they're okay. So, you know, you need to have a backup plan in place, because when you start doing a head count, people's not there, you know, you're going to need to know exactly what happened, and time is critical. You know, most things happen fast when it's a disaster, and there's no time to really think it through. You're going to have to just act and get it done. Alright. Number 7, have compassion, okay? I may have to bug out to someone else's place. You know, my mag might fall apart. Their mag might fall apart. Have compassion on one another. Now, am I saying take in everyone and give up everything you have just because this person over here was too stupid to prepare? No. That person is to be left to die, okay? End of discussion. I will not take food from my table and give it to someone else and let my child starve to death and die because they spent all their money going on a cruise to Hawaii 5 years in a row and didn't take time to put that on the shelf. Now, I ain't saying to help them at all. Don't even have any help for them at all. But a member in your group is prepping, and they're dedicated, and they give their time to it, and they give their resources to it, and they allocate their wholeheartedness to the solidarity of the mag. And the event happens, regardless, you know, like I said, 7 trumpets or any other event, and it happens, and they lose everything they have. Do you leave them out in the cold? Absolutely not. Because that was the whole reason a mag was formed, just for this thing alone, is if something bad happens, you could go to them, they can come to unions, come together, whatever the need be. And that's why that you're bringing resources together now just in case this, because I'm telling you, when it starts to happen, you're going to see all sorts of craziness, and you need to have compassion on one another, because I might lose everything I have when that earthquake happens. The electric might, you know, fizz out and catch the house on fire because of all the quaking and everything. Or, you know, one of the 7 trumpets during the plagues, one of them takes out my place and I have to bug out. What am I going to do? You know, there you go, having compassion on your neighbor. And not only that, you're going to have members in your mag. Your whole mag might lose everything. That's one reason it's important to network with other mags and reach out to them, because they might need to come to you. You need to become as solid with your community and as solid with other preppers as you possibly can, because you're going to need each other. Believe me, if you think you can walk this thing along, you're nuts, and more than likely you're going to die. Just putting that out there for you. All right. Now, the last point I would make on this this 3-part series that we've done, and we're going to do plenty more videos on mags. This is just really to get you the beef of it. Okay, and then we're going to break this down in subsections later on down the road. But you need to keep your eyes on the Scripture. Alright, now as I'm sitting here right now filming this, many things have begun to transpire in the past year alone. Our world is becoming an actively dangerous place to live. Whether it's natural disasters or governments, whether it's religious institutions and people being crazy. You are seeing all these things start to take place that the Scripture says. Now, it's up to you whether you read it and believe it and, you know, hold it as fact. That's up to you. But the fact is that if you look at Scripture, where it says that man will be marked and take an RFID chip and be forced to worship against their will. Ladies and gentlemen, they're already putting it in school systems, governments. The Vatican, okay, is chipping their clergy. There is a religious institution, and I need not say that multitudes in the world look to her as the great whore Babylon, and myself included, that Revelation 17 and 13 speaks of. America, you know, is becoming a fearfully dangerous place, and there's elements not everywhere. I won't even get into government or religion any further, but there's things becoming extremely dangerous everywhere. You better start reaching out, and you better get your act together, and it better be based on prophecy, because whatever Joe Blow down the road says, it don't mean hill beans to me. I'm seeing prophecy taking place. 2014 and 15 coming up 2 years from now. We're going to see the signs in the heavens. Now, whether it's the one spoke of in Matthew 24, Yahweh can make anything happen at any time. But He's always used a lot of natural means to fulfill His prophecies. And here we're going to see blood moon eclipses take place on Passover and Tabernacles back to back. Now, you look in Joel, Revelation, Matthew, what beacons the end, the beginning of the end is the signals in the sky on His Creator's calendar, and then starts the final events. So you got RFID chips, signs in the heavens, natural disasters, war, rumors of war, famine, pestilence, strife. I don't think there's anything much missing off of it except for forced worship coming up and the man of sin to be revealed. And so there you go. I hope this has been a help to you. I hope it really opens your eyes to why you need to form a mag, because I don't want to be going through this thing alone. I really want to, I want people beside me. I want to be there for them, and I want them to be there for me. And so I hope this has been a help to you, and until we see you again on Seven Trumpets Prepper Channel, have a most blessed day in Yahushua's name.